Hello and welcome to this episode of Rocky Mountain Carry. This is the second part of a video that I began and ended up going way too long, so I've split it up. We're talking about Spyderco versus Byrd. So for those of you who don't know, Spyderco is a very popular US-based pocket knife brand, and they own Byrd Knives, which is another brand that is exclusively made in China, but they use Spyderco designs. They're more or less sanctioned clones of Spyderco designs offered at a cheaper price and owned by Spyderco, maybe to undercut the clones that are out there. Or to compete with the clones that are out there and to undercut themselves, to offer you the budget version of these Spyderco designs. So in the first one, I talked about the Delica versus the Meadowlark. In this one, I'll talk about the Dragonfly versus the Byrd, and I'll just dive right into it. In front of me, I have Spyderco Dragonfly in Zoam Green FRN and a VG10 blade. This is the Byrd Robin in brown FRN with an 8CR13 MOV blade. So let's talk about prices. The Dragonfly will MSRP usually for $105. Retails about $78, $75 to be exact. $78, $75 to be exact. We're talking about your usual places like Knife Center, Blade HQ. I'm sure you can get them on sale. I don't see it very often. Wasn't able to really find a sale price on one when I was looking at these, so I can't give you a great price on that exactly. But I would imagine you could get one in like the $65 range on sale, if I had to guess. Robin, $45 MSRP, $32 retail, and you can find these guys on sale for about $23. So not a bad price there. So Dragonfly, $105 to $45 retail, $78, $75 to $32, and then on sale this guy for about $23. It's price difference. Let's talk about the specs. Length. Dragonfly is about 5.58 inches, where your Robin is about 5.7. So a slightly bigger knife, slightly longer. It's also a little bit heavier and thicker. And we'll get into that. The weight on these guys, Dragonfly is about 1.3 ounces or 37 grams versus Robin's 2.1 ounces or 60 grams. So the Robin's quite a bit heavier actually, and it's very noticeable when you handle these knives. This Dragonfly is absolutely lightweight, very, very light knife, kind of disappears. Byrd feels a little bit more substantial. So that's a big difference. Where the Delica and the Meadowlark were really similar as far as their weights. These guys actually are significantly different. Material-wise, I already mentioned FRN VG10, FRN HCR13 MOV. Let's talk about the blade. Length of the blade on the Dragonfly is 2.28 versus the 2.4 on the Robin. So slightly longer blade length on the Robin. Thickness of the blade, 2.5 millimeters all around. So, same. Grind, these guys are both flat grinds. Out of the box, Dragonfly is hair splitting sharp. Very fine edge on that guy. Robin, this guy's been used unfortunately, so I can't tell you out of the box what it feels like. It's been sharpened, it's okay, it's decent. Then we've got the shape on these blades, very similar as you can see. Calling them a drop point, they're kind of unique shape. So I almost don't like to call them that, but I don't really know a better name for them. So there's those guys. Then you've got the hole, the thumb hole on these guys. Obviously you have your round hole on the Spyderco, and then your comet shape on the Byrd. Let's talk about the ramp on these guys. So let's talk about the Spyderco Dragonfly for a second. It's a very mean looking knife, and I think part of that is because of this like sharp ramp that leads up to this downward slope, and then this little swedge there, small. Makes it look pretty mean and nasty. The jimping on this, very tight, very aggressive, sharp ramp, equally sharp and aggressive jimping on the finger choil, and means that you can really lock into that thing if you want to choke up and grip onto it. Satin finish on the blade. Talking about the Byrd, a little bit different. Ramp is not quite as tall, as sharp, as steep. Jimping is not as sharp or as intense as the Dragonfly. Jimping, same goes for the choil here. So you can get a nice grip on there, but not as aggressive as the other one. Satin finish on this blade as well. So take a look at those. The jimping on the finger choil, as well as the ramp. Okay. So, opening on these guys. As I mentioned, we've got the round hole on the Spyderco Dragonfly. Thumb flick, no problem. How about, let's see, find out if I can do it on the freaking camera, because every time I will fail in front of the camera. So there you go, I just did it off camera. Spidey flick. It does Spidey flick okay because it's such a small and lightweight knife. It does maybe make that a little more difficult than some of the other ones, and then it's a lock back as well. So it's something to be aware of if you really care about that. Opening on this guy. Let's see what I can do here. So there's that, no problem with the thumb flick, and I almost guarantee you I'm gonna fail this. So the Spidey flick on this guy. The action on this Byrd Robin is rough. I've tried to go in and fix it. As you can see, I can flick it no problem with the thumb, but it's like just not the smoothest. It's pretty hard to Spidey flick. Let me see if I can do it off camera. One sec. Okay, I did get it. Got the Spidey flick off camera. Okay, there you go. And then let's see if I can. Yeah, and there's that one. So definitely, I would say the Dragonfly feels a little bit better as far as the action goes. This one I took apart. The washers are kind of beat up. I don't know if that's just, it's used. And once again, it's, in some ways I am comparing apples to oranges in that, having a used knife. They're both used. This one's been used by me, but I bought this one used, so it's seen more wear and tear probably. Yeah, I've looked at the washers underneath it. They're kind of thrashed, so seen better days. Just not a great action right now. But I would say if I had to venture a guess, the Dragonfly might be slightly better just from the box anyway, just from what you can kind of expect from a, cheap budget knife versus their kind of flagship. All right, anyway, that's the actions. I was able to get both of them, a little more difficult on the Spidey flick on both of them. They're both using these, I believe they're Phosphor Bronze washers, both washers for sure. Like I said, a little bit smoother on this one. Let's talk about the closing. So very smooth, shut, and then this guy, pretty smooth. It's got this weird, it's not snapping shut like the Dragonfly does. It's got this weird little glitch right there. It's kind of mushy here. I mean, I've taken this apart a couple times. It may have something to do with me messing with the internals of this guy. But also maybe not. So there's that. Let's talk about the locks. Lock back on both of these guys. Very similar. So maybe very slight play on the Dragonfly this way. Some play up and down. Well, I actually don't even feel the play up and down right now. When it tested earlier, I thought there was some. The actuation of this, very nice and easy, smooth. Takes a little bit maybe to actuate that guy, but very smooth deployment. Shuts nicely. And then we've got the Robin. So lock back on this guy as well. No play really. Pretty dang good. Side to side. Up, down, there's some there, for sure. As far as the actuation on this guy, mushy, like quite mushy feeling. Once again, is that my fault? I don't know. But definitely feels better on the Dragonfly. Moving right along here, let's talk about the handles on these. The Dragonfly handle is about 3.33 inches versus about 3.3 on the Robin, so very similar size. Thickness on the Dragonfly, about 0.34 inches, according to Blade HQ. Unfortunately, I don't have a measurement for the handle width on this guy. Just know it's bigger. I did go back and try to measure myself with my very inaccurate measuring tape. I mean, the measuring tape is probably accurate, but it's just like the method is pretty difficult to measure with a measuring tape that small to get a very accurate measurement. I got about 5/16 of an inch on the Dragonfly, and I got about 6.5, maybe 16ths of an inch on the Robin. So definitely a difference. Sounds like a very small difference, and it is technically, but in hand, it is a difference you will absolutely notice. Where I mentioned with the Meadowlark versus Delica, it's maybe not so substantial that you'd really notice it. These guys you do, and I think you'll be able to see right there on camera the difference. And in hand, you can absolutely feel it. This thing disappears when you're holding it or when it's in your pocket. This one, I mean, it's a small knife as well, so it kind of can as well, but it does feel chunky in comparison. It's not necessarily a chunky knife, like just holding it. It's pretty average feeling, but the Spyderco is just so thin and lightweight that it makes this one feel like a freaking junker. So there you have that. Let's talk about the texture on these. Once again, you've got Spyderco's bi-directional texturing. These ones got squares. Byrd does a similar thing, bi-directional ovals. Texture definitely feels more aggressive on the Dragonfly as opposed to the Robin. Holds it in a little bit tighter, feels a little bit more premium. So, sorry, give me just a second here. Yeah, so, sorry, just reading my notes here. The feel on this guy, it kind of curved here so that you get a nice little, like, you snag the end of it with your 2 fingers here. You can kind of wrap a little bit of the pinky around and then you absolutely lock in on the top here with that aggressive jimping with the ramp and the choil. Pretty good feel to it. Makes it feel that even though this knife is insanely small and lightweight, you can still get a substantial grip on there, which is cool. The Robin feels chunky in hand compared to it, like I said. This one feels maybe a little more typical of a grip. Just wrap your fingers on it. The handle is more substantial, so it helps you kind of with your grip a little bit. Where this one it feels like there's, the handle is very skinny. Almost feels like there's nothing there. But like I said, it's angled in a way that makes it work. So, difference there. Okay, moving right along from the handle. So, these guys do both come in a lot of different colors. I forgot one thing, the liner. There's actually no liners on the Dragonfly. Crazy lightweight design on this one. And then you've got your skeletonized stainless on this one. So sorry, talk about colors. There's a lot out there. I probably haven't listed all of them, but some of the options. I've got the Zome green on this Dragonfly. They also did a Zome, I don't remember if they called it Zome gray or Zome blue. Basically, it's just the green with this little black like through it. It almost makes it have kind of almost a camo look to it. Those are like, I think, limited releases, but there's a bunch of other options as well. Dragonfly will come in black, pink. They also do pink with a black blade. There's orange. There's the Salt series, which are yellow. There's teal, and I think they do the K390 steel on the teal ones. So lots of different options here. And there'll be different blade options. The Byrd just has the HCR13. I don't think they do any, exotic blade steels in there. And they don't really do these like special colorways either. You can get brown, you can get black, I think you can get green, and gray, stainless. You can get a stainless version. There's also stainless versions of the Dragonfly. So there's options out there. I'm sure there's some I didn't mention as well. Let's talk about the clips on these. Go ahead and close and take a look. Pretty similar to, these are quite different. Where the Meadowlark and Delica were fairly similar. Obviously, you've got a wire clip on the Dragonfly here versus your classic, just kind of stainless clip on that guy with the spoon scoop. The scoop on these, you'll notice the angle looks quite different. That's just the way these wire clips are designed. I do really like the wire clip from Spyderco. Give me just a sec. Sorry. I do really like the wire clip on the Spyderco knives. Lots of space there, so you can get around a big pocket, but closes up tight here, and then doesn't flare up too high, so it makes for a nice slim profile. This is just your classic big spoon with a big flare. Makes it easier to grab stuff, like grab your pant pocket or whatever, slide into. This one's pretty loose. So as far as tightness, the Dragonfly's pretty snug, but not too tight. I really do like these wire clips, like I said. And then once again, the flare's not huge. So depending on, your pants, I don't know if you have insanely thick pants, maybe that's hard to get into, but most of the time, it's no problem in and out of the pocket. As far as this one, like I said, pretty loose, which makes it nice in and out of the pocket. But if it's too loose, maybe worry about it coming undone. Not something that I'm super concerned with, though. Hot spots, none on the wire clip. Once again, love these wire clips. This is one of the main reasons I love them. They really just don't cause a hot spot. Hotspots on this guy. No, not really. Feels pretty good in hand, but it takes up an insane amount of this handle. The wire, like the clip on this thing is almost the size of the entire handle, which I think is pretty hilarious. Compare that to the Dragonfly, you'll be able to see how insubstantial it is compared to the one on the Byrd. It's just like, it feels too big for the knife. It's kind of funny. Moving on from the clip. Oh, sorry, one more. You can actually mount the clip on the freaking the Byrd here. It's got tip up, tip down, left, right. So 1, 2, 3, 4 mounts for the clip, where your options are a little bit more limited on the Dragonfly. So that's something to note if you care about that. You can't do tip down, but I mean, I don't know why you'd want to. Tip up is great and just fine. If you like tip down, I feel like it shouldn't be a deal breaker. You can still do left right on it, so not a huge deal. All right, let's talk about the design here. We'll kind of go through one by one, talk about the major differences that I noticed. This is kind of the fast and dirty version of everything that I've already done. So, things that kind of come to mind immediately. So the design of the shape of the, let's talk about the shape of the blade, first of all. Like I said, this Dragonfly looks very mean. And I think that has to do with everything that's going on right there. The Byrd looks very different. You've got a gentle slope from the top going down as opposed to that sharp looking thing on the Dragonfly. I love the look of the Dragonfly personally. Think it's very, very cool. But yeah, number one difference there. So you've got the swedge, you've got the sharp ramp like that. The ramp is the next one. This ramp is tighter with tighter jimping as opposed to that one. From there, I would say the handle is very noticeably different. This Dragonfly, like I said earlier, much skinnier, and then has kind of a like arch almost to it, where this one's chunkier, kind of more typical handle. Obviously, the thumb hole was round on this one, comet shaped on this one. This one's Spyderco, that one's a Byrd. It's kind of an obvious answer. The price point, obviously different on both of them. You'll also notice once you pick them up and handle them, how much lighter this one is, how much thinner it is, as opposed to this one. Another huge difference on the design. So we talked about the blade shapes, talked about the hole, the ramp, the handle, and yeah, just the lines, the shape of it. That's a huge difference on these guys. Where this is, I would say this is the comparative, and if you're gonna pick a knife to compare it to in Spyderco, it's the Dragonfly, right, to the Robin, but the differences here are significant. They're similar size. They both have the jimping and whatnot. I mean, the finger choil and whatnot. But from there, the departures are pretty big. So the differences between the Dragonfly and the Robin, I would say, are more significant than the differences between the Delica and the Meadowlark. Let's talk about design. Obviously, this is a Sal Glesser design. It's got it there. And this is going to say it's just a Spyderco design, kind of generic, that Byrd took and did. Now that I have them in my hands, I will almost wonder, I don't have the designs in front of me, but I wonder whether this Robin would compare more to one of the other Spyderco knives, like in their budget line, maybe like the Cat or the, can't think of some of the other names, but now I'm curious, might have to look into that too. But anyway, I think these are comparable as well. Japan, Seki City, China. Fit and finish, yeah, a little bit tighter specs on this guy. It's a little bit nicer all around. I've mentioned the little things that make it different, the jimping, the texturing, those things I've mentioned. So the clip, obviously. Overall, the Dragonfly's got a quality feel to it. It's a very sleek, aggressive looking knife. And it's just, yeah, it works great. It's a great small knife. Very small, can disappear in pocket. Feels very light in the hand. Looks very awesome while doing all of that. The Robin, not bad ergos for a small knife. It gets the job done. It's a little bit chunky compared to the Spyderco Delica. Compared to the Dragonfly. But it makes for a really good user, a good beater for a small knife, I would say. Maybe more so than the Dragonfly, where it almost feels delicate in the hand. This one is more substantial feel, kind of a chunkier kind of guy. Overall, you can always, go for Byrd if you like Spyderco designs at a better price. Once again, I'm going to tell you, I prefer to have the Spyderco if you can afford it. But this is an example where if you're looking for something slightly different, you might go for it. Like I said, if you don't want a knife as thin and is just lightweight as the Dragonfly is, maybe you do want to go for the Byrd and pay half the price doing it. So anyway, we've talked about the Dragonfly from Spyderco and the Byrd Robin. Those are my differences and my takes on both of these knives. Thanks for hanging out. I'm sorry this two-part video series turned into a two-part video series instead of a one-part quick overview, but I did want to go into depth on these guys, and I think I was able to do that, even though it took me a half hour to do each video. Thanks for tuning in. Please, if you like the video, thumbs up, subscribe, all the things. Comment down below, which knife you prefer, why, what do you think about Byrd knives? Are they just, cheap knockoff feel to the Spydercos, or are they a super worthwhile budget option to have in your collection? Let me know down below. Again, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate you all. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.